The Giants are 2-7 for the third year in a row under Dable and Shane. Let's talk about the loss to the Niners. Welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl on social media. The podcast is brought to you by Believe Network and FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the number one place to make all of your sports bets, whether you wanted to be the MLB, college football, or NFL. FanDuel Sportsbook has everything you need. Make sure to download the app so you can check out the profit boost, no sweat parlays, and more, but make sure to always bet responsibly. We're not going to talk about stats much today because, frankly, they don't matter. What we are going to talk about is the coaching issues that are going on and the locker room issues that are going on, because as far as I'm concerned, those seem to be the most important things at this point, because we can't win football games and everything else is falling apart. So the one thing I do want to talk about is the fact that Shane Bowen blitzed Mac Jones 3 times. 3 times is how much he blitzed Mac Jones, who had a backup center. I think he had a backup right guard. He had backup wide receivers. No Ricky Pearsall. Okay, George Kittle is back. Great. CMC and their rushing attack, who was averaging under 100 yards per game rushing. And for the second, if not more week in a row, we let up over 100 rushing yards to a running back. So maybe the stats do matter, maybe they don't. What we all saw is that we can't stop the run. And I don't think that matters about how many yards it is, because we can't stop the run, whether it's 100 yards or 200 yards. Because what did we give up? We gave up how many? 159, which actually doesn't sound like a lot. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot when they were averaging a lot less than that. And they were 30th in the run game and 32nd in average yards per carry before going into the Giants. And you know what good coaches do? They do what Kyle Shanahan and Rob Saleh does. And they go and they watch film, and Kyle Shanahan, when he was coming up with his game plan, said, the Giants can't stop the outside zone run. So that's what we're going to do with Christian McCaffrey. And they don't know how to tackle. So let's just put everything on McCaffrey's back because we know he's capable of doing it. And he did it. That's exactly what they did. And we still couldn't stop it. Instead of attempting to put pressure on Mac Jones, and now, of course, I can't find the stat that I was looking at, but the consensus is this, is that Mac Jones is not good under pressure. And he's probably especially not good under pressure when he has a backup center in front of him. And yet again, Dexter Lawrence, after being essentially cursed out by a former player who's a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, a 2-time Super Bowl winner, on a legacy game, no less. All Dexter Lawrence had to do was go out on that goddamn field and make a play and make a sack, have a pass breakup, put some pressure on the quarterback. And what does he do? 1 tackle for loss and 1 pressure. That's what he did. So, and that's like the smallest piece of what this game was like. And I don't even know why I'm getting angry, because at this point, there's no reason to get angry at this football team. We see the same shit every week. It's the same shit, different day. We're in the 3rd year in a row of being 2-7 with this coaching staff. I don't want to hear anything. We have a rookie quarterback who's playing pretty damn well out there, who's tossing perfect balls into the buckets of his wide receivers, and they cannot come down with it. It's just unbelievable. We have a coach who, again, we thought he used to just do it because he kind of hated Daniel Jones and said, whatever, if he gets hurt in the last 2 minutes of a game when we're down by 20 points, who cares? I don't care because I don't really like him. Well, we all thought that was the case. I have never heard this man say a negative word about Jaxson Dart. Not a single one since he's been here. He loves that kid like he gave birth to him. And yet, kept him in the game when you're down by 2 scores and there's a couple minutes left. What are we doing? We've already lost Malik Neighbors and Cam Scadaboo. And I'm not saying give up the fight. I know these guys are fighting for their jobs. But at some point, you have to use your brain and say, hey, if I'm going to leave my starting quarterback in there, maybe I'll use a couple tight ends for blockers. Or maybe I will not run a quarterback draw when there's 2 minutes left in the game and try and get him killed. So I am angry. I changed my mind. I'm angry because I am so sick of watching the same shit week after week, year after year. Nothing changes. There's 100 different players that have been in the building. We had Ray McLeod on the field. We've had Lil Jordan Humphrey, Bo Collins, Jalen Hyatt. I mean, I could name 100 different players that have been on this team over the last 3 years with this coaching staff, and it does not matter. They are 2-7, 2-7, 2-7. And the worst part about all of this is that they had the nerve for the last 3 years before this season to blame the quarterback and say, well, Daniel Jones is the problem. And we didn't have Andrew Thomas and we're suffering with injuries. You had 4 years to build up some depth on this team. Every other team has figured it out. They don't care about the salary cap. They make trades mid-season. And now it's Monday and the trade deadline ends tomorrow. And I just saw a report from Josina Anderson saying that the Giants were in talks with the Raiders about a week and a half ago about trading Evan Neal. And you know what? Trade him for a pack of peanuts at this point. He doesn't want to be here. You don't want him here. You've given up on him. Trade him for a 7th round pick. I don't care. You think the Raiders are going to give up a 4th round pick for him? Stop it. This is when people have to look inward and have a little bit of humbleness about them, Joe Shane. You can't be tough guy negotiator on Evan Neal, who you guys have made inactive for 8 out of 9 weeks on the football season. And you think that the Raiders are going to give up what for him? Honestly, I cannot wait to see what this report is. So as Giants fans, we can sit back and say, oh, great, another trade that we didn't make. But you know what trades we're going to make? This is what we're going to do, is we're going to trade up for players in the draft that we have so much belief in. Like Tay Banks, who could not give a shit about playing football. I mean, it might be worse than Kadarius Toney, the effort levels I'm seeing him, and that is horrifying. The lack of effort that he puts on the field, when is enough going to be enough? I don't give a shit you have no one else. Put Drew Phillips out there. I'd rather see Nick Jones out there. At least he's going to try. Corey Black was out there like, oh my God, I'm finally on an NFL football field. I might do things wrong, but at least I'm going to try. Unlike Banks, who you traded up for, and you picked someone who fit a specific scheme, and then you fired the coordinator. You can't, you cannot draft players like that. And another, how about we talk about Jalen Hyatt, another player that they traded up for. And Jalen Hyatt is returning kicks, which he said afterwards to a beat writer that he has not done since high school. And the coaching staff went up to him this week and said, look, we don't want Singletary or Tracy back there returning kicks because they're the starters. So you cool with it? And actually, I saw him do it on one of the days during training camp. And I was like, oh, this is new. Never saw it again until Sunday. What are we doing? I cannot for the life of me comprehend it. And the reason why I'm so frustrated by all of this is that, again, they sold us this narrative of we just need the quarterback. We didn't really believe in Daniel Jones. We just felt like we had to sign him. And look how much better this team is with Andrew Thomas on the field. And you have 2 of those things. You have a quarterback who's not perfect, but he's playing pretty damn well. If you told me that we were 2-7 right now and Jaxson Dart has been starting since week 4, I would say, my God, he must suck, huh? Like he's having a rough rookie year. That's what any normal person who's paid any attention to this regime and Giants football team over the last 6 years, maybe 7 years, would have thought. He must be sucking big time to be 2-7. That turns out it's not him. Isn't that unbelievable? Andrew Thomas is on the field, knocking people down to the ground. Austin Schlottman's out there when JMS goes down, and Jaxson Dart has time. And he's still making plays, even though he's got receivers who decided they forgot how to play football, don't know how to catch the ball. Maybe not all of them, because Theo Johnson was doing this last year. Darius Slayton's been doing this for a while. The thing that's really frustrating to me about Darius is I feel like he was better with the drops last year. And maybe this year it's more apparent because he's now the wide receiver 1. So he's getting more targets. That's probably what it is. But my God, you cannot ask for a more perfect throw. multiple weeks in a row from your rookie quarterback, and you still can't catch it. You cannot come down with it. And do not get me started on Theo Johnson. This guy that this coaching staff was obsessed with. We think Theo Johnson is going to be the next Gronk or whatever the hell they thought that he was going to be. Okay. There's an evaluation problem going on there. I'm not going to go through every single draft pick, but we could. We certainly could. And I'll do it maybe in January, and we'll go through everyone and we can grade them and say, what the hell are you doing here? Last year, that was supposed to be the class. Tyler Nubin, not having a good year. Drew Phillips, hit or miss. At least he gives a shit out there. Again, Theo Johnson can't catch the ball. And I just, like, if they don't re-sign Daniel Bellinger, I'm just going to lose my fucking mind. Like, some of the decisions that they make, I cannot understand for the life of me. And this is all over the place, and I really apologize for that. I just am having word vomit when with this team, because this is what they've done to me at this point in the season. And like I said, we don't care about the stats, right? We should care about the stats, because Brian Burns should be the defensive player of the year. He is officially leading the NFL in sacks with 11. He is the number one in the NFL. He forced which they called it a fumble yesterday. I don't know why. It's an interception. They ruled it as a fumble. I don't know why. Forces turnovers. Abdul Carter, amazing heads up play. And then they can't score points because Graham Gano misses a field goal. It's just, it really feels like this team is cursed and they can't do anything right. That's what it feels like. And it's such a bizarre feeling. Like, it's been so long, like, what is it going to take to turn that energy around? And I think 90% of us believe that it starts with the coaching staff and the GM, and that when we get someone new there, it's going to help fix it. Okay. I mean, that's what I believe, honestly. I cannot for the life of me believe that there are people still defending Daboll. By all means, do it, but I can't find one good reason why you should defend Brian Daboll. And if the only thing you're going to say is Jaxson Dart, I need you to stop that right now. Right now. Because if you think Jaxson Dart is good now, I want you to close your eyes and just imagine what Jaxson Dart would be like with a coach who knows how to win football games, who is not kicking a field goal to get 3 points when you're down by 2 scores and there's still a quarter and a half left to go. A coach who knows how to deal with time management. A coach who knows how to get players to execute. A coach who has respect from his players, because I am really believing that there are very few players in that locker room who actually give a shit about the coaching staff, and Jaxson Dart might be the only one left at this point. Because I want to read you this tweet by Tommy G105 on Twitter, because I think this is a great example of what is happening in the locker room. Is this: Brian Burns stormed out of the locker room last night and didn't talk to the media. Deonte Banks ran out the back door through the bathroom with his pants at his ankles. Something about that sounds like there was maybe a miscommunication, but I've seen it multiple times. And I need someone who is in the locker room to just be like, what, like, was he wearing underwear? Like, it's a concerning visual. Either way, Banks ran out. Surprise, surprise. Coward. The entire team left the locker room in record-breaking time. Dexter Lawrence has been despondent all season. These are Tommy G's words, and honestly, I don't really disagree with him. Wan'Dale Robinson, when asked about the losing, quote, "I'm sick of this shit." And then let's talk about Graham Gano, who snapped at reporters and was bragging that during the pregame that he made all of his kicks. You missed one of the ones that mattered. It's like Darius Slayton being like, well, I catch the ball sometimes. Okay, great. I win my bets sometimes. Does that make me a sports better expert? Like, what are we talking about? That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous bullshit. There's no accountability. That's what it comes down to. And it stems from the top of the organization, which is part of the problem. And, I don't know if you guys saw, Bobby Skinner paid for a plane that said, "Mr. Mara, get well soon." and watch Giants Nation show, which I thought was great. And I thought it was a very nice message. But something needs to change in the front of the organization while John Mara is battling cancer, because that should be the number one and only priority for that man right now. That's the only thing that matters, is getting healthy so you can enjoy this football team when they turn it around. And they need to hire someone who's going to come in here and help, because John Mara not stepping away from his duties while he's going through cancer treatment. I get the dedication. I know this is a family run business, but there are some things that are more important. At the end of the day, this is work. And I know he eats, sleeps, and breathes it, but you cannot add the stress of what is going on with this franchise right now on top of dealing with cancer. And I think that needs to be focused on, because now, as a fan, my concern is this, and I think it's a valid concern, that they are not going to make any changes come January because it's too much. And that's not fair to anyone. And it's most certainly not fair to John Mara, because he actually wants to win football games. He does. He cares. And sometimes you just got to step out, and it doesn't have to be forever. It could be for 6 months, however long the treatment goes on, until he's healthy again. But something has to change. And they're not doing anything about it. And that is what is so frustrating to me, is that how are you selling? You can say whatever you want to the fans, okay? When you see 50% Niners fans in the stadium on Sunday, I know that doesn't feel good, but you're continually selling bullshit to the fans. Fine, whatever, we'll get over it. Some people are going to tune out. They're going to sell their tickets. Some people are still going to watch. Some people like me are still going to be podcasting and doing everything and whatever. It's just all bad shit. There's nothing great for us to discuss, which is unfortunate, but we're 2-7. We are only halfway through. We are halfway through. That's it. And you've got 50% of the stadium being Niners fans. Wait until the Packers come to town. Wait until the Commanders, well, maybe not the Commanders because they're losing, but they still have to play the Cowboys and the Vikings at home. It's not getting better. And this is what I think is happening in the locker room, is that I think the players can spot bullshit a mile away. They're not stupid. They know their coaches don't know what the hell they're doing. So, excuse me, maybe that's why some people are saying, I'm not going to put in the effort, because number one, I don't believe in this coaching staff. Number two, I don't believe that they're going to put us in a best position to win and help us win football games, because we're 2-7 for the third year in a row. And number three, why am I going to try that hard? I don't need to risk injury for this, for another losing season. And all of that to me is upsetting. And I think it should be upsetting to everyone. And again, I don't have anything that confirms this. But when you have players saying the things that they're saying to the media, when you have some players who are devastated after games, when you have a rookie quarterback who says that he played in the SEC and he's never seen anything like what he saw at MetLife, where there are 50% opponents' fans there, none of this is a wake-up call to anyone. None of it. And maybe the rationale is, well, we're halfway through the season and we're out of the playoffs, so what is making a change going to do? I don't know. Get your players to maybe not be pissed off. That would be enough for me. Maybe to get some fans back in the building, that would be enough for me. Like, instead of having people sit around and be like, I'm getting people that say, give me college football content. I want to know who I should look at in the draft. We didn't even have our bye week yet. This is where we're at for the third year in a row. And our quarterback is playing well, which is the absolute most frustrating part to me. We have Brian Burns, who left the Panthers. The goddamn Panthers beat the Packers yesterday. Brian Burns left a shit organization and a losing organization just to come to another one that's actually worse now. Meanwhile, he should be the defensive player of the year. I'm so upset for these players like him and like Jaxson Dart, who's fighting an uphill battle. And people are saying, oh, well, if we get a new coach, that's going to screw up Dart. Oh, that's going to screw him up. Not winning 2 games in his first year when he's playing well and has not a single wide receiver who's willing to help him out, and a coach who's putting anyone in a position to succeed and actually trying to win games instead of settling for points. That is 100 times worse. You are going to ruin this man's confidence. And I don't think he's the Daniel Jones type. He has way more confidence than Daniel Jones has. But there is not a doubt in my mind that if this continues and they only win 2 football games for the rest of the season, that Dart is going to be devastated, absolutely devastated, and be like, what the hell are we doing here? And maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe Jaxson Dart is going to have to be the one. He's the leader. Brian Daboll said it. He leads this team. Maybe he's going to have to be the one who goes to John Mara and says, you got to get rid of them, because they are the reason why we're not winning football games. Will that ever happen? Probably not. You never know. But the lack of accountability is infuriating. And when you look around the NFL and you see a lot of other teams, and the Niners are just a perfect example of them, because don't you dare come in here and say, oh, we have so many injuries. No, we don't, compared to the Niners. The Niners are starting. I just want to think about this for 1 second. Against the Giants, the Niners started this: a backup center, a backup quarterback, backup wide receiver, a backup linebacker. They lost Fred Warner, who's an all-pro, which is like us losing Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, which Dexter Lawrence has not done anything this year. So maybe I should say someone else, but Kayvon. Okay. That's like losing those 2 guys. They also did not have Bryce Huff. They did not have Nick Bosa. I could name probably 10 more other players. They didn't have Alfred Morris, their rookie defensive lineman, who so many people loved in the draft and was coming out being a stud. So don't complain to me about injuries. I don't want to hear it. They also lost another player to an ACL injury during the game. And guess what? They still put up 34 points against us, and they still whooped our ass, because Kyle Shanahan is a good coach and he knows how to win. And Rob Saleh knows how to put pressure on our offense and say, figure it out. And guess what? We couldn't figure it out with our offensive genius as a head coach. Coffee break. So there's no excuses. And, I know so many of us as fans are outraged, which again, we all deserve to be. But I have seen some comments that really concern me. And again, we're talking about sports, okay? Grand scheme of things. The fans who say things like, well, we weren't supposed to be good this year anyway. Well, Dart is still learning. Let's wait till next year. Well, this. Why are you giving these people excuses? We have had this coaching staff and front office for 4 years. They have had 4 off seasons to get good players in here, to get good coaches, good coordinators, good play callers. They've had 4 years, and they've had about 9 different quarterbacks and about 100 other players in literally every position on the field. I do not want to hear it. They do not deserve excuses. And we as fans who pay money and spend our time and effort to watch this football team, to buy the merch, to go to games, to meet up at bars to watch them, to do all of this, we deserve better. And to sit here and be like, well, we weren't going to be good. We knew we had a hard schedule. Any other established NFL coach who does not suck is winning football games with this team. Mike Vrabel is doing a hell of a lot more with a lot less. The Panthers, even the Bengals, look 100 times better than us. And they've got an awful defense. And if I thought their defense was bad, I'm like, I got to look in the mirror, honey, because we're not any better. So just another frustrating loss. And now we have the Bears, who on Sunday are going to watch what the Niners did and watch what the Eagles did and watch who the Broncos did and say, we can tear apart this run defense. The good news is this: is that against the Bears, we're likely to have back the following. Jermaine Illuminor, who they should have re-signed yesterday. What they're waiting for, I don't know. Cordell Flott, thank God. I never want to see Tay Banks again on the field unless he's returning kicks. And Javon Hollins, and hopefully Daniel Bellinger. Now, do I think that means that we're going to go out there and light it up and beat the Bears? I most certainly do not think that, because we still have a coaching staff who hinders the talented players on this football team. I cannot for the life of me understand why Tyler Nubin is so much worse this year. I can't do it. I cannot understand for the life of me why Shane Bowen, having this defensive line, is not blitzing more. Oh, you're worried about your corners? Guess what? They were going to be your corners either way. You were trotting out Corey Black and Tay Banks back there and thinking that you were going to stop the run and you were not going to blitz with them. Guess what? Either way, they're getting beat. So at least give your front four an opportunity to get to Mac Jones and run through the backup center. Why are you not even giving them an opportunity to try that? Like, what? I can't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. And it's just frustrating. It really, my like anger comes out of frustration at having to come on here and say the same shit every week. We got back-to-back offensive penalties that stalled our drive. And Carl Banks talked about this a lot this week, is that the players have to execute. Yeah, but maybe they don't want to execute because they don't believe in their coaching staff, because their coaching staff does nothing to help them. Why is someone give me an answer? Why is Tyler Nubin so much worse this year? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I want to do? I want to talk to Nick Saban, and I want to hear from Nick Saban what he would do, how he can explain away what the absolute fuck is going on with Tyler Nubin and why he's so much worse this year than last year. Because Nick Saban, that was his number one safety coming out in the draft. He was talking all praise for Joe Shane when they went ahead and drafted him. What happened? From one coach to another. I want to know. He knows better than I do. Please enlighten me. I don't know. This is where we're at. So I'll be back on Wednesday. We are not going to talk about the Giants because no one cares. We are going to talk about fantasy football, and we're going to start talking about some college players to watch. So I did an Instagram video last week. I'm going to do one every week for the rest of the college football season where I'll talk about players to watch and the games that they're in. So for example, last week we had Penn State versus Ohio State. I talked about an offensive lineman at Penn State who actually is Mel Kiper's number one interior offensive lineman coming out in this draft class. Watch out for him. Vega Iona on Penn State, number 71. And then I also talked about Tate, I think it's Carnell Tate from Ohio State, who I believe is number 17, I think. Absolute incredible wide receiver, went for over 100 yards and a touchdown, just an incredible game. So we can get excited about what this team could look like if we have a good draft pick, a new head coach and a new GM and a new defensive coordinator and a new offensive coordinator and some new scouts and maybe a president of football operations who can just take over for John Mara in the meantime while he focuses on getting healthy. Maybe if all of those things happen in 2026, we will win football games. Too early to tell, but you never know. Anyway, I'll be back on Wednesday to talk all about fantasy and college football, so make sure you subscribe for more.